What's up, guys? Colton from Team Synergy here, back again with another deck profile. Today we're going to be profiling my pure Amazoness deck. If you guys have been wondering why I haven't been posting in like 8 months, it's because I've been perfecting this deck, so you already know it's about to be real good. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into the deck profile. Alright, so starting off with the monsters, you want to run 3 Amazoness Princess. She's your main searcher in the deck out of your monsters. When you normal or special summon her, you get to search an Amazoness card from your deck, add it to your hand. As well as whenever she declares an attack, so it doesn't have to go through, just as long as she declares an attack, you can discard 1 card from your hand or send 1 card from your field to the graveyard to special summon any other Amazoness monster from the deck except for Princess. Must have at 3. Next we run 3 Amazoness Swordswoman. She's really good. There's lots of cheesy plays you can do with her with your main trap, Amazoness Ambush. Basically, whenever she declares an attack, if you would take battle damage from the attack, your opponent instead takes it. So you can summon her with her 1500 attack and attack into something that has like 3000 and they'll take the 1500. So she's a really good monster to have at 3. Next, you want to run 3 Amazoness Paladin. She's your main beat stick. She's 4 stars, 1700. She gains 100 attack for every Amazoness monster you control, as well as she'll gain 200 from your field spell. So base already, she's a 1900 beater with your field spell, and she can easily get up to like 23 or 24. Next, you run 2 Amazoness Tiger. We don't run Baby Tiger in the deck. I don't think Baby Tiger is that good, and you only need 2 of him. Basically, whenever he's on the field, you can only control 1. Your opponent can only attack him. Out of all your Amazoness monsters, you can only attack Amazoness Tiger, and he gains 400 attack for every Amazoness monster you control. So he only starts at 1100, but he gains 200 from your field spell, and he can get very big very easily. Next, you run 2 Fighter. She's just kind of in there to fill up some spots, and she's a 1500 attack card, so not that bad. Next, you run 2 Sage. She serves the same purpose as Fighter, except with her, if she attacks during the battle phase, at the end of the battle phase, you get to pop 1 back row card your opponent controls. So she's in there because we don't run any kind of back row destruction like Twin Twisters or Cosmic Cyclone or anything like that, so I guess her, if you can pull her effect off, it's nice to be able to pop stuff. Next, we run 2 Amazoness Queen. She's your main boss monster of the main deck, 6 stars. As long as she's on the field, none of your Amazoness monsters can be destroyed by battle. She's actually very easy to bring out with a card like Princess. So you would attack with Princess, and then discard something, and then get a free Queen. There's also other ways to bring out, but you just must have at 2. I think 3 is too cloggy. You don't need 3. I feel like 2 is the perfect number. Next, we run one card that I've never seen anybody else run in an Amazoness deck profile, and I don't know why, because I feel like it's a really obvious card, and that is 1 copy of Masterpiece. This deck runs probably 7 to 8 continuous spells and traps, so I don't see why you wouldn't run him. He's free, as well as it's really easy to swarm the field with monsters, so Masterpiece is so easy to get out, but you don't want to run more than 1. He's just kind of in there as a nice play you can pull off. Next, you run 1 King of the Swamp. He's in there solely to just grab you polymerization, because there isn't like an Amazoness fusion or anything like that, so he's in there to help you get your poly. So that's the only purpose of him. Next, this is the part of the deck profile where most people would say you want to run like 3 Ash, 3 Ghost Ogre, 3 Effect Veiler, 3 Droll and Lockbird, 3 Maxi, 3 Honest, 3 Battle Fader, and like 3 Ghost Reapers. But I think hand traps are dumb. We're going to go ahead and screw all that noise. We're running 1 copy of Grand Mole. For those of you who don't know what Grand Mole does or who he is, he's pretty much like a pseudo Chaos Emperor Dragon. He pretty much does all the same things he does, but he's just a little weaker. His attack value is a little lower. He only has 900, but their effects are basically the same, and so he's pretty much a must-up at 1 until he gets banned, which is probably going to happen really soon. I don't know how he hasn't been banned yet, but that's going to round us up for the monsters. Let's go ahead and go into the spells and traps. So for the spells, 1 copy of Terraforming to search out your field spell. You know, everyone knows what Terraforming does. I only run 1. You run 3 copies of the field spell, but I feel like you only need 1 Terraforming because you have so many other searches to get to it, like with your Princess, and then your 3 copies of Amazoness Call, which lets you search for 1 Amazoness card from your deck and add it to your hand, so it's just a free search. Next, you run 2 copies of Amazoness Fighting Spirit. This is a continuous target for Masterpiece, so it's a must-have, in my opinion, and we only run 2 of them. 3 isn't that good, so for those of you who don't know what this card does, whenever an Amazoness monster attacks an opponent's monster, if your Amazoness monster has less attack than theirs, then they gain 1000 attack. And that's pretty dang strong, because a lot of your monsters in your main deck don't have that much attack. But you can very easily turn, let's say, like your Amazoness Paladin, who has like 1900 attack, you swing with it, and she's instantly a 2900 beater. So I think this card is super good. You only want to run 2 though. Any more than that and it'll get cloggy. Next, of course, you run 3 copies of Polymerization. Pretty self-explanatory. You run it to fuse into your side deck or your extra deck monsters. Next, for your 1-ofs, you run 1 copy of Soul Charge, also pretty self-explanatory. 1 copy of Rhoda, add stuff to your hand, and 1 copy of Dark Hole. If you have Raigeki, I'd run Raigeki. We don't own one, and they're too expensive for me to really justify picking one up. Another thing with this is one of your main boss monster, Amazoness Empress, from your extra deck, she prevents all your Amazoness monsters from being destroyed by card effects, so this pretty much acts like a Raigeki. You throw it down and all your opponent's monsters get destroyed while all yours are protected by your Empress. So if you have Raigeki though, definitely run Raigeki, but Dark Hole works just fine in this deck. Next, you run 2 Amazoness Willpower. Continuous Trap, it's another target for your Masterpiece. Basically what this card does is you flip it and you get to revive an Amazoness monster from your graveyard. As long as this card's face up on the field, so is your monster. The only thing that's bad about it is if you revive a monster with this, your monster has to attack every turn that it can. So you can't just not attack with it in the battle phase. You always have to swing with it. And if this card is destroyed, then so is your monster. Next, you run one of the best cards Konami's ever made. That's Amazoness Onslaught. You want to run 3 of them. I have 2 right here. For those of you who don't know what this card does, I'm going to read it to you. I don't know why people overlook this card, because it's literally, I think, one of the best cards Konami's ever made for a specific archetype. This is what it says. Once per turn, during the battle phase, you can special summon 1 Amazoness monster from your hand. And if you do, it gains 500 attack until the end of this turn. That's already pretty good. You get a free summon during your battle phase. If your Amazoness monster battled an opponent's monster while this card is already face up in your spell and trap zone, you banish that opponent's monster. So you get to swing into something and just banish it no matter what happens. And if you have like Amazoness Queen on the field, your monsters can't be destroyed by battle anyways. So you can just freely swing into stuff and just start banishing all your opponent's monsters. That is really good. If this card in the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Amazoness monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So this thing has 3 loaded effects. It lets you summon during your battle phase for free. It lets you banish your opponent's monsters if you attack them, and if it's destroyed, you get to special summon 1 Amazoness monster from your graveyard. That includes like your fusions or anything. So this card is definitely a must-have at 3. You'd run like 8 of them if you could, but they only let you run 3 of one card, so we only run 3. Next, to round out our traps and the rest of the deck, you just run 2 Quaking Mirror Force. If you got like evenly matched or whatever, obviously you'd want to run that card, but we don't have those. Once again, those are like $70, and I can't justify that. You could also run stuff like Torrential Tribute or the Solemn Brigade or your Trap Holes now that those are back, and stuff like that. But I think this works just fine because we run a whole lot of spells in this deck and a whole lot of monsters, and so I feel like you don't have a whole lot of room for traps, and this is really all you need. That's going to go ahead and do it for the main deck. Now let's get into the extra deck. Alright, so for the extra deck, it's pretty small. You have lots of room. The only 2 things you have to run is your 2 copy of Amazoness Empress and your 2 copy of Amazoness Liger. So Empress is a really, really good card, right? So she requires 1 Amazoness Queen and 1 other Amazoness monster. One thing I think I forgot to mention is your Amazoness Princess. As long as she's on the field, she counts as Queen. That's why you only need to run 2 of the real Queen. You pretty much have 5 copies of her. She's really easy to get out, and she's also a very, very good card. So, for those of you who don't know what her effect is, I mentioned it kind of earlier. As long as she's face up on the field, all other Amazoness cards, so not just monsters, but all of your Amazoness cards, cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect. As well as she gives all of your Amazoness monsters piercing damage, which is really dope. And whenever she's destroyed by battle or card effect, or just leaves the field at all, you get to special summon a free Amazoness Queen from your deck. So, super strong. Liger, he's pretty much just Tiger, but on the juice. So basically what he does is he just requires Amazoness Tiger and 1 other Amazoness monster. So similar to Tiger, when he's on the field, your opponent can't attack any other Amazoness monsters you control except for him. As well as during the battle phase, he gains 500 attack, and whatever monster he's attacking or attacks him loses 800 attack. So that turns him into a 3k beater, and whatever attacking him loses 800 attack. So really, there's really not a whole lot of things that they can hit over him. And that's without the benefits of like your Amazoness Village and stuff, so really good. For the rest of the extra deck, it's entirely up to you. You have a lot of room. Those are the only ones that are mandatory. You could run a lot of stuff like just generic rank 4 Xyzes, so stuff like Honor Arc, Castell, Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon, Dark Rebellion, Diamond Dire, Blade Armor Ninja. You can use them for like OTK plays because you can summon him, detach, and you can attack twice for 4,400. So those are your 4 stars and whatever other ones you can think of. If you want to, you can run some 6 stars, but I feel like Queen is too valuable of a resource to be like exceeding out in. I can't really think of any like good 6s you could use. I mean, you could use like Strike Bouncer, I guess, or like Gauntlet Launcher, but I think a Queen is more valuable to you than this Gauntlet Launcher. I mean, like, you got so much room. You could even run like a Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. You don't run the materials to make him, but I mean, like, if you want to, like, I mean, you totally. I'm not gonna stop you. Like, totally can. Those are your exceeds and stuff. The only other card I'd say is probably a must-have in your extra deck would be a Mrs. Radiant. I'd recommend running at least 2 of her. She's really good. All your Earth monsters gain 500 attack and defense while she's on the field, and all Wind monsters lose 400 attack and defense, which is kind of irrelevant. As well as when she's destroyed, I believe you get to special summon 1 Earth monster from your graveyard or something like that. So the entire deck is Earth from your hand, I mean. And your entire deck is Earth monsters, so it's kind of a no-brainer to run her. And really, you don't really need to run any of these Exceeses. What I'd recommend is just running your 2 Empress, your 2 Liger, 2 copies of Mrs. Radiant, and then more Link monsters. So I guess things like Decode Talker, Proxy Dragon, like Link Karibo if you have him, Firewall obviously, Feral Lord, Topologic, just any kind of other Link monsters you want to run in the deck would be absolutely fine. Before I forget, one other thing I want to mention is like the best thing you can pull off in the deck is to have 2 Empress on the field at the same time. This is the main goal of the deck. This is why you need Link monsters. If it wasn't for this, I would honestly say just don't even worry about running Link monsters, but you want to have this. And if you have your Mrs. Radiant summon, you can put the 2 Empress and the 2 arrows like that. So the reason why this is so good is because, like I said earlier, with Empress, her effect is she lets all your other Amazoness cards you control not be destroyed by battle or by card effect. The only like thing about that is she doesn't protect herself. That's why you need another one. And it actually works like this. So if you have 2, they protect each other and all other cards. So that means none of your cards can be destroyed by battle or by card effect at all. The only really way to get over this now is if it gets tributed by like a kaiju monster, or like your opponent uses like Stormforce to tribute your monsters or anything like that. Lava Golem maybe. I don't think anyone plays Lava Golem, but I mean, like, they could do that. But yeah, so the main combo of the deck, the main thing you want to try and pull off is to get you 2 Empress on the field. And I think the best way to do that is to just link Mrs. Radiant and then just get you 2 Empress on the field. Anyways, that's going to do it for the extra deck. Thank you guys so much for watching the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. This deck's really good. If you're unsure about it, take it on one of the dueling websites and try it out. I guarantee you it actually works. Me and my friend tested it on Percy for like 2 months, and we were literally beating all the meta decks. At the time we were doing this, though, this was before Link format, but the deck still works just as well. Except you got Grand Mole in there. People know how to play against that or around it, and whenever you use it, they just get stumped, and you win so many duels with this deck. Promise you. Anyways, once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.